Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into the North Division preview, which is why you're all here, I just want to say thank you guys for getting us to 1,000 subscribers. The giveaway for the first 1,000 subscribers will be announced shortly. We're still trying to figure out logistics of it, as it is our first time doing a giveaway like this. So just trying to do the logistics of it. We will tell you guys as soon as we know when the giveaway is happening. We know all the prizes. If you haven't seen the prizes, it is a signed jersey by NHL referee TJ Luxmore. Second place is getting any type of merch they want. We got amazing hoodies like this. We got t-shirts, we got polos, we got hats, we got pants, we got whatever you want. Pretty much we can get it for you. So merch is going to be like there. And third through fifth are going to get the opportunity to get they are going to get a free Acme whistle, the matte black one with our custom logo on it. They look sick. I got two of them. So thank you guys for subscribing. We're going to pump a lot more content onto this page. So, tell your friends about it. Tell them to subscribe, because when we get to 5,000, the giveaway is probably going to be bigger by then. So let's get right into it. Today, we are going to preview the North Division. The North Division is going to be the 7 teams all based in Canada. So we got Calgary, Edmonton, Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, Vancouver, and Winnipeg. They're obviously all going to be they're doing the North Division so that they don't have to travel to and from Canada to the U.S., as the borders are still closed. So the All-Canadian Division, I think it's going to be really cool. We haven't seen it I think, ever. And so it's going to be a really fun division to watch, and the insane rivalries that are in this division are only going to get worse. The Battle of Alberta games are going to be absolute bloodbaths. Montreal, Toronto is going to be insane. Even Winnipeg, Vancouver, or Winnipeg, Calgary, like all of these are just going to be amplified because you're playing each team 8 to 10 times, this regular season. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to do them alphabetically. So if you've watched any of the other previews, it's going to be just like that. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to start with the Calorie Flames. They finished the regular season at 36, 27, and 7 for fourth place in the Pacific. They lost 4-2 to the Stars in the first round. They were 12 seconds away from leading the series 3-1, but hey, that's hockey. It's the way she goes. Matthew Tkachuk led the team with 61 points. I don't think that surprised too many people, considering he is probably one of the most electric players to watch in the National Hockey League, in my opinion. A few major additions are in net, Jacob Markstrom. He comes in, he's going to shore up a crease that hasn't had a true solid number one goaltender since Mika Kiprusoff. So that's going to be exciting. And on defense, they brought in Chris Tanev. I think he's going to be a big help. He's going to be a stay-at-home defenseman. He's going to be able to teach these younger kids how to be good, solid defensemen and just be good pros on and off the ice. Two major losses, though, for the Calgary Flames are going to be Travis Hamonic and TJ Brodie. Hamonic, always stay-at-home, shutdown D-man. You know what you're going to get from him night in, night out. He went over to Vancouver. He's going to have a great year in Vancouver. I guarantee it. TJ Brodie, he had a few really good years. He had a few years that were so-so, to say the least. I think it was time for a new scene for him. Calgary just wasn't working out for him. Calgary's going in a different direction. And he probably will be missed, but I don't think his impact will be felt as much as some people think. 3 things that the Flames need to watch this year. If you're a Flames fan or just a fan of hockey in general, you need Gaudreau, Monahan, and Lindholm to figure it out. All 3 of them struggled, to say the least, last year. They didn't put up a whole lot of points. They left a lot of scoring onto the secondary guys. And the secondary guys stepped up for the most part, but you want your big 3 to be producing, and you want those big 3 to lead the league, lead the team in points and goals and assists and all that. So I'm looking for a big bounce back year from Gaudreau and Monahan, Lindholm as well. 2 guys that I really, really want, paid attention to, and I would say they're second and third line guys are Dylan Dube and Andrew Madrupani. Both of them had amazing breakout years last year. Madrupani, I think, is just going to get a little bit more better this year. Same with Dube. I think both of them can take kind of a step level, run that second power play on the second power play together, potentially, maybe even one of them on the first power play. It creates a lot more scoring opportunities for Calgary that I think takes a lot of the pressure off of those big top three guys that we just talked about, that they don't have to go out and score 90 to 100 points. And it would be great if they did, but if they can, get 60, 70 points in a regular season, not in this 56 game format, I think it would be huge, and it's going to be a really big help to the Flames to have Dube and Madrupani, both of them firing on all cylinders, getting, the 30, 40 point range. That would be huge. One big thing that we are going to talk about is the special teams. The penalty kill for the Flames was kind of league average. I think it was sitting at like 84%. The power play sitting at 21%. It's still technically above the average. I think with the firepower they have, it can be a lot better and should be a lot better. I would like to see the power play kind of, 24, 25% range. I think they have the skill on the power play, offense and defensively, to do it. The only really big question marks going into the season for the Flames are the big three going to be able to produce? Are the young kids on the blue line going to be able to, stand and play defense and be good on the blue line? I think that answer is yes. I don't see that being an issue. Same with the first question of, will the big three perform? I think they will. The biggest thing is going to be a net with Big Save Dave and Jacob Markstrom. They're going to be a 1B, 1A, 1B goaltending tandem duo. I believe Markstrom is going to start in goal for the foreseeable future. He signed a 6-year, $6 million deal. I really hope Big Save Dave has a good season, and when he gets to play, has good numbers. He's a really solid goaltender. I just don't see him being a franchise goaltender right now. Maybe in a few years he will be. But again, if the Flames can have that 1A, 1B for the next 6 years, that's great if you're Calgary, in my opinion. And as a Flames fan, that makes me excited. So that's really all I got for the Flames. I see them battling for anywhere between first and third in the division. So I'm going to give you where the teams I think they're going to finish, and then at the end we'll do a big standings update because I have a lot of notes on my standings. But I have the Flames sitting in second right now. They'll be battling anywhere from that 1 to 3rd spot, in my opinion. Moving on, we got the Oilers, who I have just under the Flames in the 3rd division, or in the 3rd spot for the division. Again, they're in that battle for 1 to 3. They finished the regular season last year at 37, 25, and 9 for second in the Pacific. For a team that's rebuilding, or that has rebuilt for as long as they did, it's about time that we start seeing some success out of them. Being a Flames fan, I hope the Oilers suck forever. They're obviously not going to. That's not how it works. They went into the playoffs this year, they didn't even make the playoffs. They lost 3-1 in the qualifiers to the Chicago Blackhawks. The Hawks came in, absolutely stunned them. I think it showed a lot of the Oilers what they were missing. Leon Draisaitl, obviously 110 points for the season, an absolute bright spot. I see him, being a bright spot again, along with Connor McDavid. Those are two big guys that if they are rolling, the rest of the team can roll. But I think those are two guys that they can't rely on so much, but they have been, because that's all they really have. Some guys they brought in this year, Tyson Berry on the defensive side is absolutely huge. The guy can run a power play, which if he can just dish pucks all night to McDavid and Draisaitl, I mean, come on, assist city for him and for Connor and Leon, goal city all day long. He's just going to be dishing pucks to them. They brought in Kyle Turris as well, a veteran guy that's been around the league forever that can teach the younger guys how to be good pros. And that is huge in any locker room. The best locker rooms are the guys with, is teams with younger guys and then the older guys that gel really well. Another one they brought in, and another player I would really like to watch, is Jesse Puliarvi. He sat out all of last year with the contract issues. That's well above my head. I never understood it. but he's coming back over. And I think he's going to fit in with McDavid and Dreissettel really well. I think those three are going to be their big three for the future. And Puliarvi, I think, is going to do great things. He's another one of those guys where I think this season he takes that next step up. Another kid that is going to take a big step up, I think, this year is going to be Ethan Bear on defense. He came kind of out of nowhere. If you're not a diehard Oilers fans, I think even if you were, he still might have came out of nowhere. But a solid defenseman. He's on the smaller side of things, but we've seen in today's NHL, you don't need size to be successful. I really would like to see him take a massive step and kind of play with Barry this season. So the Oilers power play is amazing. They were running at 29%, which is great. In terms of statistically, I mean, you look at the guys they got, with just the two of McDavid and Dreissettel, and now you're going to add Barry into it. I mean, 29% is what they should be getting and what they are getting, and that's awesome if you're an Oilers fan. Moving on from the Edmonton Oilers, we're going to next move to the Montreal Canadiens. They ended up the season at 31-31-9 for fifth in the Atlantic. They barely squeaked into the qualifying round, but made it, beat Pittsburgh. They ended up losing to Philly 4-2 in the first round of the playoffs, but the fact that they made it to the playoffs when at the end of the, I guess, regular season that we knew, they were I think 24th seed in the league. So I mean they had no point in making the playoffs, but hey, they made the playoffs. Good on them. They were the last team in, and they made it to the first round. To me, that's awesome. Good on them. Their big bright spot was Thomas Tatar at 61 points. The issue with Montreal that I've seen for a while now is they have great goaltending and Carey Price, and that's huge. I mean, obviously, good goaltending can win you games and has won them many games and has gotten them into many playoffs. The issue is that they can't score. And Thomas Tatar, 61 points, that's great. Under a point per game, though, and if your top players are under a point per game, we're probably looking at issues of scoring. You can't score, you can't win in this league. That's always been my motto. To combat their scoring woes, they brought in Mr. Tyler Toffoli for really just added grit. I mean, he's not going to come in and score a bunch of goals. They also brought in Jake Allen to, I would say, help Carey Price. Allen's coming in. He was a starter in St. Louis. He lost his job to Binnington, came over. He's now in Montreal. Look, he's going to be a backup goaltender in Montreal. Him and Carey Price can play 1A, 1B all they want, but it's Carey Price's crease until he loses it or says otherwise. Two big guys that they lost from me was Domi and Dale Weiss. Domi obviously went over to Columbus. Domi just didn't fit in Montreal. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it work in Montreal. I think he's a great player. It's a big loss for Montreal. Dale Weiss, them losing Weiss isn't that big of an issue. You lose some grit, but that's about it. Now, there's a few players that I really want to see this season excel, and that is Suzuki, Duran, and Anderson. All three of those guys, young guys, I want to see them take it to the next level. I think they all can take it to the next level. Suzuki was amazing last year. I think this year he's only going to get better. Duran, he had a lot of hype around him in his draft year, struggled in Tampa. Now he's over in Montreal. He hasn't really done anything of note to keep him, relevant. But I think he's one of those guys that he should be a good player. I think he just needs to be around the right people. And maybe Toffoli's that guy for him. Who knows? Looking at their special team numbers, power play, 17%, penalty kill, 78%. Sorry, the power play was 17%. I'm pretty sure I said 17. I'm not 100% sure there. But both of those need improvement. I mean, the power play is like 4% below league average. The power play only 1% below league average, but still if you're not going to be a team that scores a lot of goals, your penalty kill better be operating at like 85 to 95, 85 to 90% range. And your power play, if it's below 20, let's fix it. Montreal has the capabilities of being a good team. They have a great goaltender. They have one of the best goaltenders in the league in Carey Price, even at his age now. Jake Allen is no slump either. He can come in. He can win you hockey games. I think looking at their roster, there's just so many holes. There's not a whole lot of scoring. And it's a weird mix of not necessarily young guys. There's a few young guys, but then there's some like old guys, but not really old guys. And so Montreal's in like this weird transition period where I think what they need to do is get rid of all the older guys and just say, hey, let's rebuild, retool for a few years, have maybe a few rough seasons, but you know what? In the long run, it's going to be better. Maybe sell Carey Price now when he can actually get something in return for him rather than keeping him around until all you're going to get is a late round draft pick from him. I don't see why that's worth it. Montreal knows they're not going to win a cup this year. I have Montreal missing the playoffs as well. I have them sitting fifth in the Central Division, in the North Division. So I just don't see them competing for the Stanley Cup. I don't know why you keep Carey Price around. If I'm Carey Price, I want out. I want to go to a cup contender team. He's getting up there in age, and he hasn't won a cup yet. But that's all I have for Montreal. Look, they're a weird team. It's going to be an awkward season, I think, for them. I don't think they have the right roster to play in this North Division. It's going to be a fast-paced game, and I just don't think they'll be able to keep up. Moving on to what I'm hoping will be one of the most exciting teams this year, and that is the Ottawa Senators. Now, last season, they missed the playoffs. They went 25, 34, and 12 for seventh place in the Atlantic. They picked third in the NHL draft, and they picked up Tim Stützle, as I believe is how you say it. I'm going to continue to butcher it all year long until I can finally figure out how to say it. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me. German names can be tough sometimes. He's coming in. He's going to make an immediate impact. We saw it at the World Juniors this year. If you watched any, he's going to jump into the NHL level. He's going to play alongside Brady Tkachuk, guys like that, and he's only going to get better. Now, Ottawa is definitely in a rebuild. They have no issues with saying that. They are in a middle of a rebuild, but they got so much better this offseason. They brought in Matt Murray, Alex Galchenyuk, Austin Watson, Cedric Paquette, Derek Stefan. They brought in these guys that have been there. They've done that. And, I mean, look, Galchenyuk's there. He can score goals, and I think he will there. Austin Watson comes in, brings a little bit of toughness that the team needs. I mean, Brady Tkachuk, definitely one of those guys that he can stand on his own, but the team needs one of those guys that, hey, we're not going to get pushed around. He needs the modern day enforcer. Austin Watson's that guy, in my opinion. Paquette and Derek Stefan, both leaders, veteran guys that have been around the league for a while. They've been in the playoffs. They know how to handle these things. I mean, you look at, Matt Murray, the guy's won 2 or 3 Stanley Cups at this point. The team got so much better just this offseason. The only disappointing thing is they're in the North Division, which is a very, very, very strong division. And unfortunately, I have them last in the division just because of the teams they have to play. I don't think they're a bad team. I think they'll be competitive. I just don't see them winning now. I think it's a winning 2-3 years down the road thing where they can get into the playoffs. I think right now they got to focus on just keep rebuilding, keeping the younger guys in the lineup, and making them better. A few guys to watch out for this year: Murray and Watson, as well as the German kid. I'm going to call him the German kid until I can figure out his name, or I'll just call him by his first name, Tim. All 3 of those guys are going to make huge impacts, each in different ways. Murray's going to come in, shore up a goaltending situation because they lost Craig Anderson. They need a starting goaltender. Matt Murray is a starting goaltender. There's no questions about it. He is a starting goaltender. Austin Watson, he's going to come in. He's going to be physical. He's going to fight. He's going to stick up for his teammates. He's going to do everything that they need. He's going to be the toughness, the heart and soul type of guy. And then Tim's going to come in, and I think he's going to light it up. I truly think offense is going to run through Tim. Tim and Brady Tkachuk, the offense is going to run through them. And the power play and penalty kill both need improvement. Power play ran at 14%. Penalty kill was at 76%. Obviously, room for improvement. They're a rebuilding team. They're stupid young. They're going to be exciting to watch this year nonetheless. I just don't think they're going to do that well. I hope they do. And if they make the playoffs, well, that's awesome. And they can, they can rub it in my face. I don't care. I want them to do well. I just don't see them doing well just with the lack of experience. Moving on, we got a team that I have them sitting first in the division, but one of those teams where you never know, and that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They finished 36, 25, and 9 for third in the Atlantic last year. They lost they lost the series 3-2 to Columbus in the qualifying round. Look, Columbus should have won that series, but Toronto gave it to them. And that's a conversation probably that we should have had a few months ago at this point. So we're not going to even talk about it. Matthews obviously led the team 80 points. That's great. That's over a point per game, which is what you need from a guy like Austin Matthews. Toronto added, I would say, one of the best off seasons they've had in a while. They brought in TJ Brody for the back end. He's still good. He just wasn't working in Calgary. He needed to change the scenery. I think he's going to excel in Toronto. They bring in Joe Thornton, who, if you put Joe on a line with Matthews and Marner, he's going to get like 150 assists from just passing these guys pucks and they're scoring on them. So Toronto just got goal scoring, but it's through an assist man, which is weird to think about. But I mean, Thornton's coming in. He's going to probably have like 10 to 15 goals, but his assists are going to be like 30 to 50, if not more, is my guess. They also brought in Wayne Simmons for a little bit of toughness, and then also Zach Bogosian. Again, a little bit of toughness. That's what they need, because the biggest issue, I think, for Toronto is they don't have a backbone. So they get into tight games. They get into a playoffs where the game's a lot more physical and they just collapse because they don't know what else really to do, because they don't have that team toughness. They unfortunately lost Tyson Berry and Cody Ceci. Cody Ceci and Bogosian, I feel like, kind of replace each other. They flipped. Berry's a tough one to replace. You can say, hey, we brought in Brody to replace him. I just don't think Brody's a Tyson Berry. But that's the business we're in. A few guys I want to watch, obviously, this season: Matthew, Marner's, the big top guys. But I also want to watch Joe Thornton. I want to see how he does in Toronto. I think he's going to excel. He's, maybe not necessarily career numbers, but I think we're going to see a massive spike in his numbers from what we've seen in the past. And another guy I want to watch is Lettinen. He's coming over from, I believe it's the Finnish league, and he put up big numbers there. He's coming over to here. I think he's going to do great things as a defenseman in Toronto. Hopefully he can figure out the North American style game, because it is obviously a lot different from the European. The biggest issue I see Toronto having this season is they have a young D-core, and that means you're going to have to lean on your offense a lot. The offense, I mean, look, you can win a hockey game 8-7. It doesn't have to be pretty, and the Leafs have the offense that can win a hockey game 8-7. So it's not that big of a deal, but it's still an issue for when we're looking at cup contenders. Power play ran at 23%. That, to me, it's a good power play for what they're at. Maybe a little bit higher, like 25%. But look, 23 is a good number. Their penalty kill 77%. Not the best, but you know what? Stay out of the box, keep scoring power plays. Who cares at that point, right? So I have them sitting first in the division. But again, I'm going to talk about my rankings a little bit later once we get through the last two teams here. So we're just going to break down Vancouver here right now. And they were third in the Pacific after a record of 36, 27, and 6. They lost to Vegas in Game 7 in Round 2. A lot of people that I know thought that Vegas should have won, or Vegas should have won those games that they won, 1-0, 2-1, 3-1. They should have won like 8-1. Vancouver had killer goaltending from Thatcher Demko. He solidified himself as a starting goaltender in this league. I think just from those playoffs alone, I think he showed the upper brass in Vancouver he was ready. Losing Markstrom is big, but having Demko, look, he's going to be their starter of the future. I think everybody knew that. It's not a shock. And they also brought in Braden Holtby, who is only going to help Demko make him a better goaltender. That is a great 1A, 1B situation in Vancouver right now. They also brought in Travis Hamonic to shore up defense, and as well as Nate Schmidt, another defenseman, both great defensemen. Vancouver doesn't have an issue with scoring goals. I think you see that with their roster. They have a great up front. They have a great three kind of big core guys up front, Bo Horvat, Elias Pettersson. They have it up front figured out. And I think the defense and goaltending is going to be their two biggest question marks. But Holtby and Demko can hold down the fort. And then you got, Nate Schmidt, Travis Hamonic, Quinn Hughes, all on defense. It's a pretty decent decor. It's got some work to do. Vancouver's definitely not a cup contender. I think last season was a little bit fluky, but I do have them making the playoffs as the – actually, nope, sorry. I have them missing the playoffs. I have them as the fifth, sixth seed right now with Montreal. I think they can do a little bit better. I'm a little bit curious to see if it was a fluke last season in the playoffs or not, because entering that bubble, it was, hey, we haven't played in 2 months, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, we get to play, and one team looks better than the other team. That to me is really what happened. Special team numbers for them last season: 24% on the power play, 80% on the penalty kill. Perfect. That's where you want them. I think that's great for where they're sitting. It kind of leads me into start believing that maybe it wasn't so much of a fluke, as in maybe they are a good enough hockey team to compete. But obviously, in this sprint of a season, only time will tell. Last but not least, to close out the North Division, we have the Winnipeg Jets. They finished the season at 37, 28, and 6 for fifth in the Central. They lost to the Calgary Flames 3-1 in qualifying after getting just rattled with injuries in the first few games. It really derailed their season. Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele led the team with 71 points. That's huge that they have scoring from multiple guys at multiple high levels. They brought back Paul Stastny, and I think that's going to be huge. They brought in Derek Forbert on the defensive side, which is going to be huge as well. Two guys they lost, Cody Eakin, Mark Letestu. Eakin's a great centerman. He's a good, solid second-line centerman. But, I mean, you bring in Stastny back in, I think everybody's going to be A-okay with that trade-off. Same with Forbert for Letestu. I'm interested to see what Stastny can bring back to the table. I'm curious if it'll bring back a little bit of the Line A magic that was there that's now gone. And then now the rumors swirling of Line A getting traded. I don't see that happening. I think he's too important to Winnipeg and to the Winnipeg offense. I think he just needs somebody or something to get him going. I don't know what that is. Power play and penalty kill, 20%, 77%. Both of them so-so. I mean, Winnipeg's one of those teams where they're a weird team. They're kind of a middle-of-the-road team. I have them sitting in fourth right now. But the more I sit here and think about it, I have them missing the playoffs, and I have Vancouver in front of them. So how my standings are as I'm sitting here looking at it, I have Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton battling for 1, 2, and 3. I think those are clear 1, 2, 3s in the division. Edmonton can be first. Calgary can be first. Pick and plug where you want those three to be sitting. They're going to be in the top 3, I think, without a doubt. And then you're looking at 4, 5, and 6. You have Winnipeg, Montreal, and Vancouver. The more I look at it, I see Vancouver being 4th, Montreal 5th, Winnipeg 6th, but potentially Montreal being 6th, Winnipeg 5th. Those 3, I think, are, again, going to battle it out for that last 4th spot. And those 3 teams are going to be battling for 4th, 5th, 6th. Last but not least, Ottawa sitting in 7th. Look, they're young and they could surprise us because they have done so much this offseason. And you know what? I would love to see them not necessarily win the division. It would be sick if they did, but just make the playoffs. I think that would be so cool if they did. So I'm secretly rooting for Ottawa, even though I do have them sitting 7th. But with that, that wraps up the the North Division of the NHL for this season. And this is going to be a fun division to watch. There's going to be a lot of action. There's going to be a lot of fights. There's going to be a lot of goals. I'm excited. I hope you guys are. As always, thank you for tuning into the channel. Like, subscribe, comment, share, do all that good stuff. Help us help you. And thank you guys, and tune in next episode.